All right, so buckle up, everybody, because today we're diving into the fast lane where AI is transforming the world of car design.
It really is fascinating stuff, and the implications are massive.
We're talking potential trillion-dollar impacts on the global economy. No, seriously, trillion with a T. You sent over some articles from NTT Data about all this, and I've got to say, color me intrigued.
It's cutting-edge stuff.
They're really digging into generative AI, Gen AI as it's known, and its use in the auto industry right now, which is super interesting to me because everyone's buzzing about Gen AI these days, but these articles highlight how it's being used in a practical sense.
It's not just hype, it's already happening.
Exactly. So before we get lost in the weeds here, can you give us the 30,000-foot view? What's the big deal about Gen AI in car design?
Well, it boils down to this. Car design is incredibly complex, and it generates tons of data. Mountains of it, really. Gen AI helps us make sense of that data in ways we never could before.
Okay, makes sense, but we've all heard the hype about AI. But what I find interesting here is that NTT data is getting really specific. I mean, they've identified over 25 ways AI can be used in the whole design and development process.
Yeah, and they've organized those use cases by how they fit into that whole process, from those early brainstorming sessions to testing and refining the final product.
It's not just a vague AI is going to change everything, it's a here's how. For example, one thing they talk about is using Gen AI for patent management.
Oh, that's a great one.
Can you unpack that a bit?
Sure. So imagine you're an engineer, right? You're working on a new car feature. Before you even start designing, you need to know what patents already exist. Gen AI can analyze all that patent data, even help draft new patent applications.
That's huge. But with so many potential uses, how do companies even know where to start?
Well, NTT Data highlights three key things to consider for any AI tool: efficiency potential, feasibility, and the effort required to implement.
Okay, let's break those down. Efficiency potential seems pretty straightforward. How much time or money can this AI tool save?
Exactly. But it's not just about cutting costs. It's about optimizing the whole process. Can we get new designs into production faster? Can we free up engineers from tedious tasks so they can focus on the more creative stuff?
Right, because ultimately time is money. So what about feasibility?
That's about being realistic. Do we have the data we need? Is the technology even there yet? It's one thing if the AI could work, it's another if a company can actually implement it right now.
It's about bridging the gap between what's possible and what's practical.
Exactly. And then effort is about being honest about the resources required. How much time will this take? What kind of expertise do we need? It's about finding that sweet spot between ambition and practicality.
So it seems like the real winners will be those companies that find applications that are high in feasibility and efficiency potential. They're not just chasing the shiny new object.
You got it. And NTT Data gives some really interesting examples. One that stood out to me was using Gen AI to write those super detailed requirement documents for new car features.
Oh, I can only imagine how many engineering hours go into writing those.
A massive amount. And they have to be incredibly precise. But imagine if an AI could generate the initial drafts, ensuring consistency and accuracy.
It would free up those engineers to focus on the complex and creative aspects of design. And this isn't some distant future either. We're already seeing this with tools like GitHub Copilot, which a lot of programmers are already using.
Absolutely. It just goes to show how this technology is already making a difference in how products are designed and built. And speaking of making a difference, that leads perfectly into the second NTT Data article you shared.
Now you've got me really curious about this SysEng Copilot they're developing. It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, but instead of piloting spaceships, it's piloting the design of complex systems.
It's a brilliant name, isn't it? And it perfectly captures the essence of what they're trying to do. Create an AI-powered co-pilot for systems engineering.
Systems engineering. Okay, for those of us who don't spend our days knee-deep in technical diagrams, can you break that down a bit?
Think of it this way. A modern car is like a mini city on wheels. It's a complex ecosystem of interconnected systems. You've got your engine, transmission, brakes, steering, entertainment system. All these things have to work together seamlessly. Systems engineering is about managing all those moving parts and making sure they integrate perfectly.
Okay, now it's all clicking into place. So this SysEng Copilot is like having an AI expert on hand to help manage all that complexity.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is that NTT Data isn't trying to boil the ocean here. They're focusing on specific pain points in the design process where AI can make a real difference.
Like what? Can you give us some examples of what this Copilot can actually do?
Well, imagine you're an engineer working on a new safety feature for a car, maybe some next-level lane assist. You've got all these requirements for how the system should work, but how do you even begin to design a test to make sure it performs as expected in every possible scenario? That's where the SysEng Copilot comes in. It has two main parts, the method finder and the method coach.
Method finder, method coach. Sounds like a dynamic duo.
Right. Think of them as the Batman and Robin of systems engineering.
Okay, I'm sold. Tell me more.
So you're an engineer with this complex problem. You go to the method finder and say, hey, I need to design a super robust test for this new safety feature. The method finder then searches through a vast database of processes, methods, and tools to find the most appropriate solution for your specific task.
Like having a super smart research assistant who can instantly sift through mountains of information and find exactly what you need.
Better than that. It's like having a team of seasoned engineers who've worked on countless similar projects and can instantly recommend the best approach based on their combined experience. And once the method finder has identified the optimal strategy, the method coach steps in.
Okay, so the method finder points you in the right direction, and then the method coach takes over. What does it actually do?
Think of the method coach as that super helpful colleague who not only knows the right way to do something, but can also guide you through each step of the process. It can provide detailed instructions, templates, even automate certain tasks through APIs.
Wait, APIs. Can you back up a second?
Of course. APIs are basically ways for different software systems to talk to each other. In this case, it means the method coach can connect to your existing engineering tools and automate tasks, saving you even more time and effort. It's like having a virtual assistant that can not only plan your work, but also help you actually do it.
So it's not just about recommending a method, it's about helping you implement it in a way that integrates seamlessly with your existing workflow.
Precisely. They even give a concrete example in the article about generating those critical test cases from complex system requirements. Let's say you're working on that new airbag system we talked about earlier. You need to make sure it deploys perfectly in a million different scenarios.
Right, safety first. You don't want to be figuring that out after the car hits the road.
Exactly. The SysEng Copilot can analyze those requirements and help you generate a comprehensive set of test cases, ensuring that you consider every possible angle and that the system is as safe and reliable as possible. It's all about finding that sweet spot between speed, efficiency, and absolute precision. And this brings us to the real beauty of the SysEng Copilot. It's not just about making things faster and more efficient, it's about making sure those complex engineering processes are followed meticulously every single time.
That's what I find so reassuring about this whole approach. In industries like automotive, where safety and reliability are absolutely paramount, you don't want to cut corners. And it sounds like this tool could actually help companies improve the quality and consistency of their engineering processes.
Exactly. And that's what NTT DATA highlights as the key benefits of the SysEng Copilot. Increased efficiency, resource optimization, and improved process conformity. It's like having a team of expert engineers looking over your shoulder, making sure every I is dotted and every T is crossed.
So you're telling me this one tool can potentially streamline workflows, optimize resources, and improve quality control. That's a pretty impressive resume. But I have to ask, what's the magic behind all of this? How does it actually work?
Well, under the hood, this thing is powered by some seriously impressive AI. We're talking cutting-edge techniques like retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, and AI agents.
RAG, AI agents. Okay, you're losing me a little bit.
Right, sorry. I tend to geek out about this stuff. Let me try explaining it this way.
Hit me with your best shot. What are RG and AI agents, and why should we care?
Okay, so imagine you're an engineer again,
Yeah.
right? You're working on a problem. You might pull out a textbook, maybe do some Googling, or even call up a colleague for advice.
Sure, makes sense.
RJ is like giving the AI that same ability to learn and get information from all sorts of sources.
Yeah.
It's not just relying on what it already knows. It's constantly updating its knowledge, just like you would.
So it's like giving the AI access to Google, but instead of just spitting out search results, it's actually understanding the info and using it to solve engineering problems?
Exactly.
That's pretty wild. But okay, what about those AI agents? Are those like little digital engineers running around inside the computer?
You're closer than you think. AI agents are kind of like those super efficient assistants we talked about. They can handle specific tasks, talk to other systems, and make decisions based on the info they have. Think of them as the ones actually putting the AI's recommendations into action.
This is starting to feel like we're living in the future, but in a good way. So let's say a company is hearing all this and thinking, all right, sign me up. Where do I get one of these SysEng Copilots? What would NTT Data say?
Well, it's not quite as simple as downloading an app yet. What they're offering right now is a 3-month Value Discovery Proof of Concept, or PoC. It's basically a trial run where companies can try out the SysEng Copilot with their own data.
So try before you buy?
Exactly. And it's a very structured process.
Yeah.
NTT Data works with the company to figure out those high-impact use cases, the ones with the most potential, and then they implement those using the company's existing systems and data.
Smart. So you're not handing over the keys to the kingdom before you know if it even works for you.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And once the PoC is up and running, NTT Data helps the company evaluate the results. How well did it work? What were the benefits? And should we scale it up? It's very collaborative.
I like that. It's refreshing to see a company that's not just trying to sell something, but actually wants to partner with others and help them navigate this new world of AI,
I agree.
which is a great note to end on, I think. As cool as all this tech is, it's really about how we use it. And this idea of human AI collaboration, having AI tools to help us do more, that's something that should excite everyone.
100%. It really feels like we're at the beginning of something huge. Who knows? Maybe in a few years, we'll look back and say, this is where car design changed forever.
I love it. A huge thank you to you, expert speaker, for geeking out with me today. This has been fascinating. And for our listeners, be sure to check back in with us next time as we continue exploring the cutting edge of AI. Until then, stay curious.